People who accomplish amazing things in life, I've learned they tend to make decisions differently than normal people. And oftentimes that difference starts in the very first comment that comes out of their mouth when a new idea is created, presented to them, whatever. So let me show you a specific example, a story about this, and then I'm going to show you some examples of the way normal people make that first comment versus the way many of the people who accomplish amazing things make that first comment. Okay, so this is an article called "A Public University's Bachelor's Degree for $9,000." They're not kidding. How many of you have paid for a college degree lately? For yourself, for kids, or whatever? How'd you like to be able to do it for $9,000? So let me read you this article. Late last summer, a couple of weeks before semester was to begin, John Anderson, the newly hired provost at Southern Utah University, walked into the office of school president Scott Wyatt with an idea. He said he thought SUU should start offering a bachelor's degree for $9,000. That's a 4-year degree for the equivalent of a used Subaru. $9,000 is what 1 month of undergrad costs at Harvard. And it's just a third of what on-campus SUU student who completes their degree in 4 years would pay. So what he's saying here is we should offer a degree for 1/3 the cost that we already charge people who attend our university to get that degree. So I want you to put yourself in the position of this school president. Your provost has just walked in and he says, I want us to cut our price by 2/3 to get a bachelor's degree. What do you say? Back to the article. Wyatt, the president, did not look at Anderson, the provost, as if his second in command had lost his mind. He didn't lecture him about the bottom line. Instead, he said, "Sounds great. When do we start?" Just like that, Southern Utah added to its curriculum what is believed to be the least expensive bachelor's degree of any public institution of higher learning in America. And then it goes on, and there's a whole bunch of other description about what happened and how they did it. And they had to overcome a whole bunch of problems to make this happen. But I want to go back to this comment. Wyatt did not look at Anderson as if his second command had lost his mind. He didn't lecture him about the bottom line. Instead, he said, "Sounds great. When do we start?" And right there, we get the difference between normal people and people who make things happen. Let me give you some examples of the kinds of things that, quote, normal people say versus the kinds of things that I have found people who make things happen tend to say. And you may note that I'm trying to encourage you to start saying these kinds of things and start thinking this way. Okay, so a normal person, when presented with something that's just not possible, says something like this: "Can we do this?" A person who accomplishes things says, "How can we do this?" Now, I want you to just notice this. This "how can we do this" is an incredibly powerful question. I literally ask this all the time. Like, I call up my internet provider and I say, "Hey, my internet is suffering." And they say, "Well, you can have an appointment in 6 days." And I say, "How can we make this happen faster?" And when you are constantly using the "how can we make this happen" question, what ends up happening is the person on the other end is bound by rules. And most of the time their answer is, "We can't." And you say, "But let me ask that question again. How can we make this happen?" And sometimes you maybe pay a little extra to get somebody to come over to fix your internet now as opposed to 6 days from now. Sometimes it's they can come in and they can run something temporarily before they come in and fix everything. All kinds of things start to happen when you start asking the question, how can we make this happen? Normal people say, it's not possible. People who accomplish things say, what would make it possible? So think about it this way. Let's say there's a program, a course that you really, really want to take, and you look at your life and you say, there's no way that I can do this. Instead of saying, hey, it's not possible, you say, how? What would make this possible? So perhaps you've got to go to bed an hour later, get up an hour earlier so that you can make this possible, so that you can make what is not possible, given the way things are currently structured. Yeah, it might not be possible, but that doesn't mean it's not possible to make it happen by changing the way things are currently structured. And that's a key distinction. So oftentimes the way you get things done is not to work within the current system, it's to go around or develop a new system, which suddenly makes things possible. How about this one? I can't afford this. As opposed to that, how can I afford this? So I met a guy who really wanted to buy a $2,000 course. There's no way he could afford it. What did he do? He went on a payment plan and mowed lawns every Saturday for 3 months, which enabled him to bring in enough money to be able to pay the payment plan. And he got his $2,000 program. And by the way, do you think that guy actually did the things that we taught him in that $2,000 program? Oh yeah, he definitely completed that program. And not only did he complete that program, the product that he created from that program made him tens of thousands of dollars. Why? Because he didn't say, I can't afford it. He said, how can I afford it? I've seen people drive Uber. I've seen people sell couches. I've seen people go through their house and hold a big garage sale. I've seen people take the guest bedroom with the fancy bed and sell that fancy bed for a lot of money because it's, one of those $3,000 foam mattresses. They sold it for a lot of money and bought a cheap bed and put it in the guest bedroom that no one sleeps on anyway, and bought a mattress topper for $100 and paid for the $2,000 program. Yes, it's not possible given where things are right now, but what could you change to make that happen? 2 other questions. The first one is, what if we could make this happen? I love this question because it gets you thinking about the range of possibilities. It gets you thinking about, if I could make this happen, here's what could happen as a result of that. And all of a sudden, when you do that, going back to what's your why, as soon as you figure out how life could change if you could make this to happen, then you are open to thinking the question, if that's the cool things that could happen, how can I now make it happen? Because now your why is bigger than the what. And all of a sudden, amazing things start to happen. So, public university offering a bachelor's degree for $9,000. Why? Because when the president was presented the idea, he didn't say, that's not possible. He said, great, when can we start? It's the cheapest degree from a public university in the United States. And they just graduated, I believe it was 111 people in it. Oh, and by the way, I have to share this. The first thing that they did when they decided to do this is they sent letters out and emails out to all the people who had started in their program in the past and not finished their degree. So they took the people from the last 10 years who had dropped out for whatever reason. They sent letters out to them that said, hey, here's this opportunity to complete the degree you already started for just $9,000. And I'm not seeing the number in here exactly, but as I remember, it was 111 people who just graduated, and 69 of those came from that group of people who were not able to complete their degree before, but they are now. Just think about that for just a minute. Once again, how can we make this happen? Yeah, it's going to cost some money to advertise that. And so maybe you just send out an email to the people who already dropped out of your course because they couldn't afford it. And you say, hey, here's another way of doing it. Or you'll be able to do it for 1/3 the cost that you were paying before. Come on back. Sure enough, 69 people just graduated with that degree. All right. What do you think? Do you think you could change your languaging? Do you think you could change the hardwired it can't be done in your brain? Do you think you could, instead of closing it down, start thinking, how could we open this up? Do you think all of a sudden your life could be different if instead of limiting your possibilities, you expanded them? Let me know what you think. Let me know your experiences with this kind of thing. I'd love to hear them. Especially if you tried this, I'd love to hear how it worked. This is Don Crowther saying, just go do this stuff. Like what you just saw and want more? Subscribe now, ring the bell for notifications, and watch these other videos.